I'm probably most looking forward to the Dubois-Parker fight, and then potentially him going on to get a rematch. But anyway, still waffling. Next one. What could be fight of the night? Right, Ortiz-Madrimov, for me, that's going to be a head-to-head fight. This fight could happen in a phone box. I don't think anyone's going to take a step backwards. So I think that's going to be fight of the night. It's going to be a real tear-up between two guys who do not want to back down. And finally, last but not least, we've got a question. Who is going to steal the show? Who will steal the show? I think personally that Hamza Shiraz, if he puts a performance on, this is his step up now. This is his acid test. He's got the invite now to becoming a world champion. And I know what it's like when you're fighting for your first world title. Jean Pascal, 12-round war against an unbeaten Canadian who went on to dominate a light heavyweight. Anyway, enough about me. I just think that Hamza Shiraz, if he does the job against Carlos Adamas, again, the world is his oyster. He can move on and do great things on the world scene. So, what a fight card. Really looking forward to every single fight on the bill. Don't forget to tune in on DAZN. I've been Carl Froch. This is Froch on Fighting. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. And until the next time, I'll see you.
The fight card of the century. Live on DAZN Worldwide. February 22nd. With belts on the line all night. Featuring an epic rematch. Beterbiev versus Bivol 2. For the undisputed light heavyweight championship.
Undisputed on the line.
Dubois versus Parker. Defend or dethrone for the world heavyweight crown. Stevenson versus Schofield. Superstars battle for lightweight world championship glory. Adames versus Shiraz. Heavy hitters meet for the middleweight championship of the world. Ortiz Jr. versus Madrimov. Knockout kings collide for the world super lightweight throne. Zhang versus Kabayel. Titans clash for world heavyweight domination. Buatsi versus Smith. Battle of Britain eliminator for a shot at the world title. The fight card of the century. February 22nd. With belts on the line. All night. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Madrid take on City in the second leg after a 3-2 spectacular game. Drama, chaos, goalkeeping mistakes. Kim, you were relatively happy with the way you played in the first leg.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because we've been so poor over the last few months and this was a little bit better, but I genuinely felt pretty confident throughout the game. We know what Real Madrid are like. We know what they're like in the Champions League. It almost always goes their way. But I do think... And I know it's horrible to always talk about football and like if, buts and maybes and stuff like that because that does have a big impact on the game. But Akanji going off was huge. I think before them, City were controlling the game. We were 1-0 up and I think we looked very good for the win. Same with Jack Grealish, but obviously he only went off after half an hour. And I think you can't account, and I know Madrid had chances, but you can't account for the mistakes that Ederson made. I mean, I would say all 3 goals are arguably his fault. He should come out for the free kick. He doesn't. Mbappe gets a ridiculous bit of luck. The second goal, he gives them the ball and then lets it parry off his chest straight into Brahim Diaz. And then the third one, he has no excuse coming out like that. And I know they had their chances, and I know there are 3 big mistakes that a City player made. So it's weird to say, oh, we would have won the game if he didn't make those mistakes. But I think the overall performance was genuinely very positive. I thought the way that Guardiola lined up this side with the 4 defenders at Kanji at right back and then John Stones CDM, who was absolutely exceptional, considering he's had many, many injury problems and has spent the majority of his career at centre-back. The fact that he can play that way in CDM just like he did in the Champions League final against Inter Milan is exceptional. And I genuinely thought, bar the first 10 minutes where City sort of had to deal with a barrage of Real Madrid attacks, I thought City controlled large parts of the game. And I know you don't agree. And it's probably because I've gone insane, but I genuinely feel positive about the Bernabeu.
I just think, when I think about Real Madrid, and honestly, like we've spoken about this so many times, and they're probably the only team in football that you can't actually analyse, because the things they do, there's no pattern of play. Like we were speaking before we came on, that Rico Lewis came on, and every team will say, winger, get at him. Within 2 minutes, Vinicius, Mbappe and Jude were all on the left-hand side. There was no one in the middle of the pitch. And I was like, this is just not normal. Like, even if they get past Rico, how are they going to get into the box? Which they did. And I just think, going to the Santiago Bernabeu, they've lost once at home, I think, this season in the league. They're so powerful. They've got too many goals, where I go, like, City need to score 3 to beat them 3-2, and I don't see City scoring 3. Because when I look at the first leg, you scored a pen, Haaland hit the bar, obviously, with a deflected shot. And then the goal you scored was a great bit of football. But then I think about the chances they had, and even the half chances where they got into good situations. That, for me, felt like, on another day, like, if they just lock in, they probably score a few more.
Yeah, I just think Real Madrid got too much quality, but City is still in the game. It's only a 1-goal deficit, and City have got so much quality still, despite the fact they've had a difficult season. I think it was a Maya Quadri tweet where he said Ancelotti's such the economy will regulate itself kind of manager, and that's what you see in this Real Madrid team. Like there is no, you can't, like you say, you can't analyse them because they play in such an unconventional way, and ultimately in the Champions League, their superstars come to the fore. We saw it. Yeah. I know Mbappe's goal was fortuitous, but he scored a goal. We saw Jude Bellingham get the winner. They just seem to turn up on the biggest occasions. And when you look at their goal threats, Vinny's a goal threat, Mbappe's a goal threat, Rodrigo's a goal threat, and so is Jude Bellingham. For City, the only banker in terms of getting you a goal is Erling Haaland. I think it's a numbers game, really. I think that Real Madrid will have a little bit too much quality, but City will make it a game. This is always the best game in European football because these two teams go at it and they challenge each other. And I enjoyed last week. I just think the City, with where they're at right now and their inability to control games, especially after taking the lead, I think that will come back to bite them in the Bernabeu.
Yeah, it's a shame that, isn't it? And I think that's one of the things that we've been speaking about a lot is that sort of confidence. And you don't want to pick on certain players, but it does seem that as soon as City, something goes against them, that everyone's heads drop and you kind of know what's going to happen. When Ederson made that mistake and it went 2-2, everybody around me knew, everyone in the stadium knew that the game was going to end 3-2 because it's what's happened all season. Brentford 2-0 up, Manchester United 1-0 up in the 98th minute, lose it. So City have obviously got a problem here where they need to have some more mental strength and mental character. The reason that I feel a little bit more confident going to the Bernabeu is that I think last year we were pretty poor. We managed to score 3 goals there with 3 unbelievable strikes. And obviously we didn't end up winning that game, but I thought that was a really positive performance. But I watched Real Madrid yesterday, and I think